Hi there, this is Lee from IELTS Master, and in this video lesson, we're going to look at another Writing Task 2 model answer. This time, the model answer is on sports facilities. We're going to analyze some of the language in the model answer, how it does with task response, and the other parts of the band descriptors for Writing Task 2. So here's the passage. It's from Cambridge IELTS 9, page 167, and this is Test 3. Advocates of this believe that today's sedentary lifestyle and stressful working conditions mean that physical activity is no longer part of either our work or our leisure time. If there were easy-to-reach local sports centers, we would be more likely to make exercise a regular part of our lives, rather than just collapsing in front of a screen every evening. The variety of sports that could be offered would cater for all ages, levels of fitness, and interests. Those with painful memories of PE at school might be happier in the swimming pool than on the football pitch. All right, so if you got the idea from reading this paragraph, this is a discussion essay. And so in this paragraph, he's describing why some people believe that in order to improve the health of people, it would be good if we had more sports centers, more sports facilities. That's the idea here. That's what it's writing about. And this is the first body paragraph. So he's discussing one side. Let's look at the task response. I just have some simple notes for you, some things I want you to be aware of when looking at the sample answer. First, we have this first sentence, right? Advocates of this, ja, 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 ja. This is a clear main idea. Advocates of this. What do they mean by this? Well, they mean advocates of having more sports facilities. What do these people believe? And it tells us what these people believe. And then, what does this mean? All right. So it's telling us what these people believe and what this means. And then right after that, the next sentence is following up on this idea. It's extending this idea. It's supporting this idea. If you've read the IELTS band descriptors for Task 2 writing, you know that supporting and extending ideas is a very important part of getting a high score on task response. And it's the same thing for the next sentence. The next sentence, the variety of sports that could be offered would cater for all ages, etc., etc. This is another extension on the same idea. Very interesting that there aren't multiple ideas in this paragraph. It's really just one core idea and then an extension, a support. So you don't have to have tons of ideas, but you do need to have solid ideas that are related to the topic that you support throughout your essay. Next, let's look at some coherence and cohesion. So how is the essay coherent? Does it make sense? Is it logical? And how is it cohesive? How does each part link to another part? First, we have advocates of this. Well, usually in the beginning of paragraphs, I recommend writing the topic again, but if you do read this sample essay from Cambridge IELTS, you can see that the author writes about having more sports facilities in the previous sentence in the introduction. So this right here refers to having more sports facilities. All right, the next part that I wanted you to look at is how we have all of these words that are really closely related. This helps make the essay very coherent. And it also helps cohesion, right? When you have all of these different words that are related to the same topic, you know you're reading about something similar. There's some kind of logical progress, and you're not going off topic. So we have physical activity, sports centers, exercise, sports, okay? In the yellow, I just wanted to point out, this is an interesting sentence structure. No longer part of either our work or our leisure time. So it's no longer part of either our work or our leisure time. No longer part goes to work and it goes to leisure time, both things. And finally, we have this blue. The variety of sports that could be offered would cater for all ages. Could be offered for what? Well, if we read the previous sentence, could be offered at these easy-to-reach local sports centers. We don't need to include this in the next sentence because it's very obvious, but I wanted to point out that sometimes you can drop this subject if it's very obvious, and that actually improves cohesion. It actually improves cohesion. You could say the variety of sports that could be offered at these places. That would be fine as well. You wouldn't really need to write the topic again though. Next we have vocabulary. I wanted to point out that the vocabulary in here isn't super academic, right? They're not super big words, but it's very precise. There are excellent collocations in here, etc. So first we have advocates of this. Another part, advocates. This is an excellent word. People who believe in something, people who support something. Next we have today's sedentary lifestyle and stressful working conditions. Sedentary lifestyle is an excellent collocation. Stressful working conditions, also an excellent collocation. All right. Next, we have our work or leisure time. Work or leisure time. So work and leisure, these kind of contrast with each other. They're different. They're not difficult words. Work, leisure, you probably know these words, but it's nice how they're used together. They provide a nice complement. Easy to reach. Easy to reach local sports centers. This isn't a word that you would normally study, but it is useful, and so I wanted to point it out. To make exercise a regular part of our lives. Wow, there's so much good language here. First, to make something a part of our life. That's really good. That's a nice phrase. And then make exercise a regular part of our lives. So exercise regular. There's a collocation, regular exercise. And to make something a regular part of our life. Also an excellent phrase. So we have lots going on here. Lots of good language. Make exercise a regular part of our lives. Another kind of cool little phrase, rather than just collapsing in front of a screen. Collapsing in front of a screen. Such descriptive language. To collapse, to fall down and collapse. But rather than just falling down in front of a screen, that doesn't really work. Rather than just collapsing in front of a screen, much better. And then finally, cater for. Cater for, this is just a nice little phrasal verb, to cater for all ages. And I recommend you memorize it. Not cater to, but to cater for. That's the correct phrasal verb. Grammar. Not a whole lot that I wanted to point out, but it does have an excellent use of hypothetical conditional. So it's explaining what could happen in the future. It's not guaranteed. This is second conditional, if you know first and second and third conditional, that kind of grammar. There's a lot of second conditional here. We have, if there were easy to reach local sports centers, we would. The variety of sports that could be offered would. All of this second conditional. The other thing that I wanted to point out is this first sentence. It has like two parts to it, which is quite interesting. We have advocates of this believe that, and then in the blue text, what they believe, and then mean that. So what does this mean? Physical activity is no longer part of either our work or our leisure time. I'll read it one more time. Advocates of this believe that today's sedentary lifestyle and stressful working conditions mean that. So what does this mean? Physical activity is no longer part of either our work or our leisure time. How can we use this structure in a somewhat simpler way? We have believe that and mean that. Advocates of this believe that, mean that. These conditions mean that. So what do the conditions mean? Some people believe that more immigrants means that house prices will be higher. I'll repeat that one more time so you can listen to it. Some people believe that more immigrants into the city center means house prices will be higher. Okay, so we have means that this, or sorry, believes that this, and this means that something else. It's an interesting grammatical structure. All right, so that's all we have for this lesson. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you got some good ideas for just little things, little parts that you can use to improve your IELTS. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more IELTS Master content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us at IELTS-master.com. And finally, tell me, what do you want to see next? I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion in the comments.